Hey there, rulers. Welcome back. After a long week of Force of Will, the students are all gone. It's time for lesson planning, your favorite ever live Force of Will interactive kind of deep dive into a specific matchup. Today is all about cats cultivating cancels. So going into the greenhouse, Calico Cat's going to show us the way. We're going to talk about cancels. I am joined, as always,
what these are before you say them.
yeah,
live.
I know. That's I keep you in suspense about the titles. It's perfect.
I'm on
So
my toes.
I'm joined as always by Josh Pack Kraken Patton of Rogues Guild over here, and not a ghost anymore. Derek Muguneza. How's it going, guys?
He owns a house
Going
and
good.
he has a webcam.
It took me a bit, and
We got
it took
there.
some convincing from certain people who shall not be named.
So,
Ryan Mouse.
I was about to say Ryan is your Ryan or Cal. Those are your two. So anyway, tonight we are going to be, before we get into the discussion, as always, I want to say if you like what we're doing here, we're happy to have you be here as a part of us, just watching. But if you want to get involved, go ahead and click that join button down below, as well as subscribe to the channel. The join button is the easiest way to monetarily support the channel and what we do. It also gets you access to cool perks like being a part of the chat, access to the emojis and everything else. Josh Patton still has not remembered to join as a member, even though he turned off his Patreon account, calling him out live, so he can't be a part of the chat right now. But he's here. I do want to give a huge thanks to, before we even got started tonight, we had Joe Star join just before the stream, so welcome. You can go to the main office and pick up your curriculum for being here at Ruler School. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. The big topic tonight is this idea of the Brunhild control deck with a splash of altar. This is something that kind of came out of the OLS weekend. We've already known Brunhild Control has kind of always been a thing, but this newest iteration of it has been making use of the tiny bit of an altar splash in certain categories. Josh, you got some background noise coming in there, bud.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I'm sorry, family.
It's all good. Just letting you know, in case you didn't want them to be heard. But this OLS weekend, in fact, the winner of the OLS JPK was playing a very, very spicy version of this kind of Brunhild green, white, black, kind of, I guess, a little bit blue control deck. And so what we wanted to do is, there's been a lot of discussion of how do you beat an altar deck without being an all-in altar deck. And so in looking at the lists, this Brunhild kind of felt like that. Like, it's using altar against it, but it's not really like at its core trying to do the same thing as altar, as least we've seen from like the rezzard lists and like the other black base lists. So we thought this would be a good one to kind of jump into. So tonight we're going to have Derek on Brunhild, and we're going to have Josh on rezzard. So before we get started, is there anything else that you guys have piloted these decks a little bit more than I have, obviously, because I don't do the testing as much. But what, Derek, for the Brunhild, like, do you have anything to kind of like talk to us about it as we go into it? Maybe pull up the deck list for us.
Yeah, I can pull up a deck list actually. Let me do that really quick.
Thanks. While he's doing that, I'm gonna like shout out Cal and the OLS team. Like, that OLS Open was a very fun tournament. I mentioned it a couple times. The last time I did a Force of Will tournament online, outside of that GP that we did, but the in a day 1 hour like time window online tournament, was Brewhouse, back when Brewhouse was putting those on.
Yeah,
and like it was, and honestly, it was very fun. It was an awesome day. So shout out to Cal. That OLS Open was awesome.
Yeah,
Shout
and
out
you guys,
to...
you guys all got invites. The top 8 got invites to the Vite Ramen Nationals because Vite Ramen decided to.
Yeah,
because Vite Ramen's back. They're back. The circuit is back up and running.
Yeah, no, that playmat was sick. I was like, yes, please.
Oh my gosh, that map.
Very grateful I got my hands on that.
I don't know how I feel about that map, but it's good. You want to pull up Untap
It's
for us there, Derek?
hilarious.
Is it not displaying?
It is not. We see your other page. So you are watching a Red Bull solo queue video.
Oh, definitely not what I was doing. Let's try this again. How about now?
We got it.
All right. So I definitely just noticed that I had Ceiling Scroll on the list, so I have to quickly remove that quick. What was it?
Light of the Moon.
Light of something. Thank you. So this is very very similar to JPK's list. I basically just took a lot of the things that he had in his list and kind of meshed it together with the old list that I had from that I got third with at GP Collinsville. Yep. So basically, the main things are this deck isn't really running any Reyes, and I'm pretty sure the reason was since you're not heavy on the Darkness Stones, you didn't really want to rely on that too much. So you have like an extra Sigurd and your 4 Dark Alices to kind of rely on getting Sigurd to the graveyard, as well as Waking of the Winged Lord to just like try and hit it more often to just get it for 2 at instant speed, basically. And like what separates this from like other altar decks that are kind of going around right now is rather than just going for like some of the infinite combos that might be running around that some of you may or may not know about. This one's kind of posed to using Sephiroth a couple of times to kind of manage your hand, manage your opponent's hand while also keeping that card advantage flowing, as well as just setting up utility altars. And what I mean by like utility, so to speak, like getting your sack altar to 3 counters and then grabbing a Kaguya from your deck as opposed to having to cast it from your hand. And then with Calico Shikigami being like basically a skeleton horde, you get to sack this for 2 creatures. And so it's a lot easier to like sack a Calico Cat, sack the token, sack the Sigurd, boom, you got a Kaguya.
Yeah,
so,
it's kind of what I've seen this deck do is it's kind of unlike the rezzard decks that are trying to use the Sigurd altar loop to kind of set up a really, really like powerful like damage dealing board. This deck is trying to set up a board where you just get to tell your like you've done the combo and you have just like your traditional Kaguya like Brunhild list at that point, but you've done the loop to a point where you literally will always have an answer to anything your opponent plays. So instead of trying to put pressure on, like put aggression on with the altar, it's more of to set up the game so that you're in a permanent state of just telling your opponent no, and then leaving your altars to be like additional ways to say no, as opposed to like, cool, I'm gonna spit out 8,800 damage using this combo real quick. It's like, okay, no, I'm gonna combo off so that I have 6 cards, you have 2, and I'm up on will and I'm the control deck. Like it's trying to kind of mitigate the inherent weakness that this deck has had in the past in terms of not having draw power by using the altar package to kind of facilitate that, while also stealing cards out of your opponent's hand.
Yep. Yeah. Other than that, there's not too much else to this list. It's a Kaguya deck, counter stuff, and then we also have the advantage of having that proactivity that sometimes counter decks don't really have. So like if your opponent's tapped out, then you get to start punishing them with the Sigurd plays to start if you something, attack with this Kaguya. I got nothing else, pass turn, and then Kaguya something else, and so on and so forth. So now you have that proactivity of being able to set up more threatening boards as well as dealing with cards in your opponent's hand. So.
Yep, absolutely. So why don't we go ahead and get into a game here?
Quick.
If we're dropping frames for you, my bit rate's good. I don't know why we're dropping so many frames, but I'm gonna do a quick stream refresh. Just stick here on the stream, guys. We'll.
Let me know if my stream is still going.
Yeah, your stream is still going.
Fun. All right, cool.
So why don't we go ahead and get into a game here?
I'm gonna do a pop-out chat just in case some people had questions.
Who's got questions for Derek?
Answer.
Looks like we're back. So let's go ahead and get in.
All right.
Sometimes my internet likes to randomly stop working, and I don't understand.
Yeah, you guys are having some frame issues. Stream's not even loading well for me, says Matt Seymour.
It's like it's back up for me.
I don't even have the chat. My chat's not even loading. 1 second.
I got chat. It's members only, though.
There we go.
I got chats.
Okay. Should be back now. Says my bit rate's pretty consistent at this point, so we should be good to go. Let's jump in.
Wait. All right.
Oh, I gotta play deck. Go.
Waiting for Josh Patton.
I'm trying.
Rolling that nice 17.
Peter's getting tired.
Although I think I'd like to go second.
Yeah, no, you ultimately.
So hopefully he rolls a 20.
Yeah, against any of the decks that are Regalia decks, you pretty much always want to go second. But also with this deck, because you want the energized white. So
exactly. So I can just turn one Kaguya.
Oh, yeah, that's a 12.
Definitely less than 17. So looks like I'm going first. And to kind of give a rundown of, what I want to be mulliganing for. So the number one thing that I like to have is Calico Cat. Not only does it, force my opponent to have the Death Scythe to get rid of my Calico Cat, so that I can't interact with their grave with it for basically free. It also helps to filter my my stones, which, as you might have saw, there's 4 light stones, and the rest are just green. So we want to keep that.
Dude, my hand is
consistency.
Yes.
No, I'm so surprised.
Yes. Dude, I couldn't get a gas hand all OLS open. I want to hear it.
This card we're going to keep here. We have reasons for that, and I'll explain when the time comes.
I should probably not be looking at your hand.
That's fine. You can look at it. It doesn't actually matter. We'll ship those 3 back. These 2 are really important cards in this matchup, so we'll just keep those 2. And try to draw good cards.
That seems like some good cards.
These seem pretty decent. You good to go?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we're going to call our stone here. We're just going to go ahead and jam this Calico Cat right away. You may be wondering why I'm not exploring. Some of the decks are in discard, and so since I can't even cast a Kagi, I'm going to pass to you, Josh. Since I can't even cast a Kagi at this point, there's no real reason to just give my opponent the opportunity to discard a Kaguya that I draw into. And here comes that Death Scythe. Yep, can't do anything about that. Dies, I get a token. Of course, he hits the Black Wizard. So now, here's the part where you just lose the game.
Wait a minute, hold on. So actually, wait a minute. Can we read what's the order for Rezzard? Banished first? Rip.
Yeah.
I mean, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
There's
matter
the same effect, so it's top to bottom.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, one will...
Yep. Go ahead, do your thing. Did you hit double Black Wizard? What the hell, dude?
I did hit double Black Wizard. I'm trying to think how I'm going to optimize that, and...
I mean, Rhea into Griffin into double True Powers, some nonsense is pretty decent.
I don't have any True Powers in hand, though.
Oh, rip.
Oh, well, that just sounds like you messed up. I don't know what to tell you.
Dude, you have no idea. Like, I actually took True Power out of this deck because I don't think it's good. No, dead serious. Like, dude, I played 6 games with it this weekend. That is a dead card in your hand. Dead card. It's only for situations like this, but I think I'm gonna prove that like we can win this game without.
Anywho, I do want to talk about Matt Seymour's comment. The games I've been playing, I've noticed I don't want to be going first. I know there is merit to going first, but what merit is there with these decks that I'm missing? Like, what's the upside? Right now, because we have 2-drop Regalia, there isn't. There isn't much of an upside to going first, unless you're like a heavy discard deck running like 4 copies of Rachel's Smile, and we're still not even convinced that that's super great. There's just not much of a merit right now to going first. It kind of sucks, just because of the nature of Regalia.
I'll take a look.
Wait.
Oh, optical camouflage.
How? Hold on.
He has
double Black Wizard.
Yeah, but he used one for the Rhea.
Yeah.
Yes, so and one for the look.
So why is there a Sigurd and an altar on board?
Death Scythe.
Oh, right, because Death Scythe can pay for frickin' Sigurd. I forgot that. Yeah, freaking all the time.
Yeah, this is basically the nuts.
This card's stupid. This card right here.
I forgot that it can pay for Sigurd. I was like, wait a minute, what's happening?
So I'm gonna actually make the bold call here. I'm gonna take that Dark Alice.
Don't think that's a bold call at all, Josh.
Like, what's so bold about it? It seems good to me.
Defense stance. I want to take the defense stance, but
I mean,
yeah,
I still haven't played my whatchamacallit yet. So like, odds are I'll probably just hit a Kaguya, even if I even hit the right stone next turn. So there's also that.
Yeah, I think that there's merit. So weirdly enough, talking about the Josh position, right? So I think in this position, taking the Dark Alice is more influential because we talked about this last time.
Yeah,
having
literally, I
having
learned it on
knowledge,
episode 1.
having knowledge of your opponent's hand, like, and knowing that, like, complete knowledge. Like, so Josh is at a point here where he knows there's an altar that's dead on board because it's a 1-drop. Sure, Derek can convince his entire turn to try to get that altar out to maybe get a Dark Alice and draw 2 cards, but then he spent his whole turn doing nothing. The optical camouflage isn't going to target anything because we're just going to sack it to the altar anyway. The defense
It's going to save him some life points as well.
The defense stance, now we know it's there, so we can play around it. And then he has a top deck that's unknown. But here's the piece that we're talking about, where if we let him have the Dark Alice, you would then be able to draw into 2 more cards and set up a potential graveyard kind of shenanigans. So it's better there to discard the Dark Alice, because then you force your opponent to be playing with as much revealed information as possible, which is what you don't want to be doing.
Yep.
So here, we hit our worst nightmare.
Yeah, not hitting a white stone.
As per usual. There is merit to exploring and then seeing if we can't even hit a Calico Cat at this point, honestly. But at the same time, spamming this altar is not the worst thing in the world. I'm trying to remember what all's in my deck.
How many cards are in your graveyard?
Just 1.
Not
2.
you. I'm talking to Josh.
3.
A bunch.
There's 3 cards in graveyard. Oof.
Yeah, I kind of like exploring to see if I can't hit a Calico Cat here.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that, you know, is important to talk about that we've heard from this Brunhild list, right? Or, like, if it falls behind or it doesn't see its white sources, it can definitely be a struggle. So, like, sure, it's an anti-altar deck, but also, like, it's not a for sure thing. So you have to kind of, like, bank on, like, how comfortable do you feel taking the risk of your stones being much more vulnerable than, you know, just playing the altar deck itself. You know, the altar deck in terms of stone consistency, you can't really beat it. It's playing 2 colors, right? It's playing maybe a 3rd color for the white, kind of, for, like, the 1-of copy of Kakia. But for the most part, you're relying on black-green. Most of your stones are going to hit it there. So with the Brunhild list, you need the white, and you're only really running 4 white sources comfortably. So it's a bit of a high roll there. If it high rolls well, there isn't a lot that the altar deck can do to get ahead of it, right? If the Brunhild deck does get ahead of the altar deck, it's definitely hard for it to catch back up. But
use Black Wizard, moan your cat.
As we saw from
which Black Wizard you use? I'll bottom the Black Wizard that you're not using.
Alright, float a black with it.
As we saw as we saw in the finals of the OLS.
Yeah, you saw in top 4 what happens when you don't hit white, and then you saw in the championship just Brunhild manhandling Rezzard.
With doing non-alter things, really. He was just doing the Kaguya stuff.
Yeah, no, he had control until he had alter.
Right,
you know?
Exactly.
And that's essentially how the deck plays. But yeah, then there was also, I think, round 3, I was playing Taylor Smith. He was on a Brunhild list too. Yep. There was a lot more interaction in that one, but it was essentially the same thing. I took advantage of some early turn miscalcs. So, all right, so this is going to the bottom. That one killed that. All right, discard, because Moan of the Dead is really good in Rezzard.
Turns out it's a good card.
All right, recover. Oh, let's say combat.
Sure.
Swing 4 or swing 8.
That was like, I'll take 4 off of let's see here, what do you got? 3 damage. How much does life matter? The reason why I'm, like, wondering if I even want to take this 8, for those of you wondering why I'm not just chump blocking, is because I have an altar in hand currently. And so these 2 could be useful for altar shenanigans.
Yeah, this is very much
important. I don't know yet.
This is very much a matchup too, where
I'll take the 8 though.
Weirdly enough, life points don't matter. Like, you're either alive or
you'll take
dead.
the 8.
Yep.
You're either
Swing
alive
4.
or you're dead. Which is what we're talking about in regards to, like, with these altar combos.
Sex Sigurd to altar.
Jeez Louise, Josh, hold on. I'm talking about a point. Pause. With these with these altar decks, when they go, it's kind of like they go off and you win. So like thinking about it at this point in time, like Derek is talking about with your life total, right? Like 8 damage. What's the difference between 8 damage now versus taking the full 40 later? You might as well keep the resources up now, right? So that's just to kind of further explain that point that Derek was talking about feeling comfortable just taking the 8, not really caring about it.
The rezzard deck has so much explosive damage that 8 damage right now means absolutely nothing. Like
Correct.
it can kill you from like 56 like with no effort at all. So it's just like at this point, like I might as well just take what damage I can and then save these for like the lethal swings, the lethal attacks, basically.
Yeah, that's the other piece too, Matt, in the comments is like the piece of the rezzard deck is it's a lot of chance speed stuff. Like outside of the altar combo, like using altar to make plays, the deck does not have a lot of instant speed stuff. You're absolutely right. Like Moan of the Dead is probably one of your few cards that can do that. Todd, has there been any Worlds chatter? There has not been currently. I know that we're still waiting to hear back some more information. Typically last year we got the information about Worlds.
Flicker Death Scythe. Float.
Oh, geez, going off. We got the information about Worlds at the end of September last year. That's right, Derek.
Judgment,
right?
discard 2.
Derek, does that sound right to you? End of September last year?
Sorry, what?
Getting Worlds information, we got it about the end of September last year.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So we're still within the time frame of when the company normally gives us Worlds information. We're still just kind of waiting to hold out to see if it's getting delayed or not. I know that the other regions have already said that if it gets delayed, all invites will be carried over. And so with that news, I can't imagine that wouldn't also apply to the US, which means also there's probably a pretty high chance that it gets delayed. We're just kind of waiting to hear.
This is bad. This is Josh being tame, by the way.
Well, I mean, I think at this point we can probably scoop it up because I don't know if there's anything else the deck can do to come back from this.
Yeah, it can.
Can it?
Yeah, Judgment is fine.
Judgment. Chase Judgment with Sack Altar. Sack Altar Rhea.
Sure.
Rhea put Sergio.
Oof,
Judgment Resolve.
Mikage.
Sure.
Is your deck not playing Griffin?
Sergio. I took it out.
Because you're not playing.
But yeah, Griffin would be the one here.
Because you're not playing Part of True Power, that makes sense.
Sorry, discard 4. I got a feeling there's not going to be a better one I want to hit.
How the
fuck? That one. So the Black Wizard that was on the bottom was now shuffled in the deck, and now it's in the top 4.
And you just and we just milled the Black Wizard. Ugh.
All right, so there's that. Trigger that. Here's the Princess. Use the 2 floating. Play the Sigurd.
Response.
Response to Sigurd dinner?
Yeah. Thinking though.
Princess Loop in Rezzard?
Bounce here. Yeah, of course.
Oh hell yeah. Like you gotta think when you start doing your loops, Athenia inner trigger get her. Like you go plus will. That's infinite.
Yep.
So this to hand?
Yep.
That's fine. Go find altar.
Okay. We're gonna scoop it up and we're gonna go into another.
Scooping. We're not
scared. Oh, Derek. Okay, for sure. This is good. This is good.
Yeah, see, like if he killed me, I'd scoop. Like, but at this point, like he has a board set up and he has an altar, sure. But like this isn't really, like, yeah.
Okay, good for sure.
I'm impressed that you think this isn't.
And that's why to be honest, that's what the lesson planning is for, right? So like if this is
move to recover. Sorry.
This is the piece. Oh my gosh.
Alter.
Yep.
We will. We'll pass.
Draw for turn.
Sure.
Cover.
So what's your mindset here, Derek? What is it
Yeah,
about?
that's what I'm wondering.
What is it about this board state with what we have in your hand that's putting you in a position to feel like this is not a scoop it up, save time, go to game 2? That's what I'm wondering.
So my opponent has 1 stone, and I'm not dead. That's the gist of it, really.
Theoretically, he's not wrong.
But he's all. But your opponent. But here's the other position that I want you to think about is your opponent is also representing, 20 damage in the air with drain with double. Yeah, 20 damage in the air with drain, and you're at 20.
So the drain is so in this deck, drain is irrelevant. My opponent can
Sure.
get infinite life, and this deck can deal infinite damage. It's like that. So
Okay.
that part is just irrelevant.
Fair.
As long as my life points aren't 0, like.
But
I don't know. Like in this position, like yes, this position feels bad, but it doesn't feel unwinnable.
So, because the other thing that I'm thinking about here is God Art, right? So like your opponent is threatening lethal on board with flyers that you can't block, and then rezzard can swing in and God Art whatever you try to block with, which you don't have interaction with God Arts. So like, and he has God Art Will off of Death Scythe.
On inner, I should have stolen one of your cats. I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
You wouldn't be. You would
like you didn't do it, and so I was like, okay.
I know exactly. Yeah.
Don't miss your Mikage Sage Row triggers.
Okay, so I'm just gonna start swinging combat.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, swing away.
6.
This is only for vampires, right?
Yeah. It only hits vamps.
That is fine. Take 6.
Swing 4.
Wouldn't you want to swing with rezzard first?
No.
Pretty sure that's the last one he swings with.
Yeah, I'm swinging with the flyers.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah. Trying to remember all fucking 2 drips I've
Like, because essentially what's gonna happen, right, is like when I swing with the last Rhea or Sergio, I don't probably Sergio. There's gonna be a moment where he's gonna have to make a decision. Like if he declares no blocks, I can God Art for lethal, and he'll just have to make that call on the fly. Like he has no blockers to handle this yet, so I'm just gonna let him decide.
Sack cat token to alter.
That's fine.
Sack cat token to alter.
Yes.
Get a 2-drop. Good.
That's fine. Chase inner with God Art.
Sure. In response, power.
Power of Immortality on the perfect Loki.
That actually loses you the game, like that. Oh no, because it'll.
No, he still has stuff he can do.
Yeah, in response, sack Princess to alter. Bounce
Sure.
your perfect Loki. It bounces your perfect Loki.
Because doesn't Goddard give them +4/+4?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's,
GG.
Yeah, that's GG.
All right.
But see, like in certain situations, like not everyone would see that line. So like if he like tried to sack his board to go for Athenia to RFG my grave, then he doesn't have a board that is swinging in for lethal anymore.
Sure.
So
I mean, I think that there's credence, and this is a good lesson to take away from this. Like, I get there's credence to make your opponent do it, right? So like, your opponent was you saw,
whoops.
you saw that Josh was technically one turn away from lethal, right? But you have some play lines that he might not see to push him back a turn. But like the worst case scenario is you saw one more turn and then you died anyway. So I think that there's credence in a tournament when you're considering a time clock to still say like, okay, I know I'm dead in one turn because there's a play line, but if he doesn't see it, I have a chance to win back in this game. So I'm gonna still make him do it. You know, it's this idea, we've talked about this on the Teacher's Lounge before, of like make him have it. Because it's a one turn, I think that there's credence to the idea of, you know, forcing him to actually go through the motions for that one turn. If this was a situation where you're just like, okay, there's no way he has clear lethal, so we're definitely gonna make him work for it. You know, then you start to get it. Then you start
if
to
this
look
was
at it
yesterday
like
and I was the Brunhild player, I'm absolutely scooping that real quick. Right. If I only have an hour,
each their own.
Do what?
I said that's fine. To each their own.
Yeah, and that's fine. You know, everybody's in the position. That's why I wanted you to share your mindset of like why you were not conceding right there. So like again, that's the whole point of the lesson planning, is to kind of walk it through. So now we can see the Brunhild deck on the draw. It has access to Energize White, and we'll kind of see how it feels maybe a little bit more comfortable in this matchup when it has that more time.
Typical stone.
Also the option of bouncing the stage rail, but it wouldn't have mattered.
Oh yeah, with the
that's fine.
With the optical.
Yeah. Down. Explorer.
You're always exploring that. You're always exploring that unknown. How does the Brunhild deck handle Hoenir?
Pray they don't have it.
Yeah, that's
we whiffed.
That's pretty much it.
I mean, honestly, the Brunhild deck handles it pretty well because it's canceling a lot of the stuff that's putting stuff into the graveyard or canceling the reanimations.
Right.
So, like, to get a Hoenir on the field, like, Brunhild had to have flubbed up quite a bit of stuff.
Or Rezzard had to commit his entire flip to just getting Hoenir.
I mean, but like then even at that point, right?
Also,
like,
yes, Logan's right. Cracking Altar is not a spell.
Yep. So there's some stuff that you can do. Having played Hoenir myself, he's not as the only ruler who really likes Hoenir like comfortably is actually Magna. Like Magna feels very comfortable with Hoenir because you can go God Art into Hoenir on your turn, and then you're just like, cool. Door of time for 2 turns. Yep. Wow. So let's talk about why we're canceling this Pharesia.
Because he's tapped 2 mana, and he can't do anything with just the 1 Regalia mana. So we have no problems just canceling this and then moving on with our lives.
Yep.
So then my play line here is if I would have had a Look of Corruption or anything in my hand, I would have played 1 to take a look at the hand and then tried to slam the Death Scythe. But right now I'm gonna bait I wanted to cancel there, flip green Blackstone, so that way my opponent can't cancel anything else from here. Death Scythe's good next turn. I also have March of the Dead for Pharesia. So, like, in terms of calculating what to play into the cancel spell, Pharesia was the better call over Death Scythe.
Yep, absolutely. And the other piece too is
6, 7.
If the Pharesia sticks, then it's very sticky. And it means that like Josh can start using, can start picking stuff off or getting rid of dead draws and turning them into removals or buffs or everything else. So like that card is not, again, it's a utility card more than anything. But it is still a good card to resolve, but also it's a fine card to have get canceled. It's not like a high risk card to get canceled.
All right. Tap 2.
Sure.
Do this.
Modes?
That and Judgment. Discard and Judgment.
Oh, I was like, that? What the fuck is that?
Do the thing.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
the
do
thing.
Julie, do the thing.
Do the thing.
Yeah, that's good.
Discard 2, Judgment. All right. Hey,
Yeah.
Black Wizard. All right.
Hey, it's a Black Wizard.
Playline here is a little interesting because he's got Chant of Tranquility, so.
Smell like a god, 5-head.
There you go, man. That's all you need to do.
All right. So use Black Wizard mana, play March of the Dead. Target Freesia. Like the interesting thing here is like there's no interaction with the judgment itself, right?
Right.
So
So there's no reason
the
for me not
judgment,
to do this
yeah. So once the judgment happens, he would have to do whatever, and I'm gonna get 4 random cards no matter what.
Yep.
All right.
We're gonna bottom all 3
Sure.
and then ramp a stone.
Then Ramp a Stone.
Yep.
Is that Chant or is that Kaguya going back in your hand?
Nah, she's staying on the board.
Damn. Right. So March of the Dead. Good deal. Declare Judgment.
Got it.
Chase Judgment with Rhea.
Rhea resolves.
Rhea go find Sigurd. And then so like all right. So I could do 2 things here. I can either do the Sergio or I could do the Sigurd. I'll do the Sergio.
Sagero. You keep saying Sergio.
Sergio.
Sagero.
Rhea resolves and resolve to judgment. Or in response to judgment.
The enter effect,
Sure.
you mean, right?
Enter effect,
Yeah.
excuse me, yes.
Trying to think what other one
Actually,
cost.
no, that's fine.
I was about to say double Chant. All right, play or discard 4. Okay. Oh,
Mania.
Those are some weird
Yeah.
grabs.
Oh, thing is good.
I think
Oh,
it-
thing is always good. It's always good. Sergio.
Sagero.
Sergio now.
Sergio.
Let's do.
Pays life to deal damage to seal things.
But it's not a cost though, so it's just.
It is. So inner effect.
He pays life at
just-
resolution.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
So you can pay 0. I'm gonna grab this Kaguya back to my hand, get a stone, and
So check this out. I think I'm going to Goddard here.
sure, that's fine.
He gets to
Yeah.
steal the Kaguya.
Goddard, steal the Kaguya, and then cancel the chant.
Sure.
It doesn't cancel the chant.
It does on inner.
Enters. Kaguya enters.
Oh my god.
Kaguya is on the chase.
Oh
chance
my
on the
gosh.
chase.
What a play. Jeez.
I'm being very risky here. This is something that I would only do in testing because I actually don't know if this board state's good enough. Pester. Derek has a habit of making stuff work. So like
Don't
I'm
forget
on
you
low.
don't forget you gain life there.
I did, yeah. I gained what was that? 16?
Yeah, you'll gain 16.
Get a stone here.
So you need to go up to 49 life. Yeah.
I did.
If he had a Sigurd, that would be easy. This play would be easy. So we can do the play line
The Calico
of.
seems obvious, right? Like sets you up for the most stuff later.
I'm thinking of a go big or go home play.
Which I mean, honestly, that's rezzard strategy against Brunhild. Is like literally just throw everything in the kitchen sink at it early, and see if it's good enough.
Well, so like with what you have in hand, Derek, in my mind, the like play Calico off of a black green, then you get access to. You can immediately play the like Dark Alice and draw a little bit and draw a little bit.
It's probably gonna be. I'm probably gonna be playing my entire hand here.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. Like you like play out the whole hand. Like Calico.
I'm gonna draw first though, because I'm gonna be playing out my entire hand anyways. So there's no reason to not just. And the reason why I'm playing out this hand is because
he's tapped out.
As it stands right now, he's tapped out. So this is my best opportunity to go for this sort of play. And see, we've seen quite a few cards, so the odds of hitting a Sigurd with the between 6 cards isn't impossible. And then from there, we can try and get enough cards in our graveyard to perfect Loki his board on his turn. You have how many strangers in grave? 0.
Matt,
0.
To talk to Matt Seymour's point, the life situation doesn't matter at all. It's kind of weird as hell. This is not the first meta in Forcible's history where life totals really haven't mattered.
So we're gonna start off with Dark Elves.
It's not all the time that life. There have definitely been formats where like life is a resource and you have to be really, really cautious and everything else. This just happens to be not one of them. So you're right. It is kind of weird that we're back to that, but it's not the first time in Forcible. Okay. So
I want to say this is relevant, but I can't tell. This is the second draw.
This is the second draw?
Yeah.
I think you discard the camouflage, right?
Most likely.
I think the camouflage gets discarded here. And then I think you play Alter into Calico. Then just like, and then you get.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what the play lines are afterwards.
Sure. Yeah, that's the piece. Because you have to get right now. You have to.
Yeah. So this is fine.
Right now you have to get to 12 cards in grave. And how many do we have in grave currently?
We have 4.
Ugh, that's so many.
Fun fact: he actually only has 3. That
Kaguya is on the
yeah,
side of the
that's
field.
just
yeah. That'll mess us up, but yeah.
Sure. Yeah, get that over there. That's fine. So going for Athene here doesn't do me any good.
Do you go
I
Calico?
need to get a Sigurd and then get the Sigurd in grave, but I also need to recover my stones, so it's kind of awkward.
Well, what if you do? If you did Calico into Awakening of the Winged Lord, you have a chance to get Sigurd, right? And then you can start going off without having to lose your cat as much, or like you still get some other stuff too. So that's probably like the only play line at this point, right? I don't know what's your runes.
Power and Dispel.
And Dispel, yeah, Dispel's not doing anything for us right now.
Yeah. So I need to get the Sigurd. So if I go for Calico and then sack the Calico to alter and the token, I get Sigurd. I'm tapped out. I'll have, so let's see, we're at 3. Calico would be 4. Dark Elves would be 5. Alter would be 6.
Well, if you go
Sigurd Alter would be 7, 8. So that's still not enough.
Well, if you go Calico into Winged Lord, you'd go to 4 cards in grave. You hit the Sigurd, that gets you Sigurd Alter, right? Then you can sack off Dark Alice.
Right, yeah, I get what happens if I go for the chance. I'm just wondering if there isn't like like a definite possibility right this second, which I don't think there is, because I'm short 1 body.
Because if you have the with the Sephiroth in hand, like you're in a better spot there, right? Because it gives you some chance to draw, and it can let you play your Sigurd a couple more times. Like this is what we're talking about in terms of like the complexity of alter stuff.
So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, it's still short. I was thinking about the powering the Dark Elves playline.
Oh, sure. Well, that would draw discard, draw discard. But
Yeah, but at that point, I played Alter and I played Power, and I'm tapped out, and I had to like get to 2, so I wouldn't be able to get to Athenia to
recover yourself.
do the recover stones. So the best bet here, the like winning line here, is to go for a Winged Lord and just pray.
Pretty much.
Feels like shit, but I mean, such is life. Or
How are you playing a Winged Lord? Oh, okay, so Calico
I have
Cat
a
into
Calico
Winged
Cat,
Lord.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, if I go for Athenia, I get to draw like 1 card, and that's it.
So for the sake of lesson
Yeah,
planning
sure.
here, yeah, like let's see what the top 4 are, and then I kind of want to maybe rewind us a little bit in this particular match to kind of talk
We'll
about.
jam it.
Jam it.
At top 4.
He didn't say money.
Ended up in the same spot, so.
I think you ended up in a slightly worse spot because you don't have Sigurd.
No, because this will still get
No,
you.
this is the same. This is literally the same spot as if I was to just play it from hand.
This gets you Athenia. So
But Athenia doesn't. Well,
No.
I mean, I guess I still have
4,
one more
5,
draw.
6,
Oh, I have an altar in hand.
7.
Oh, because this was actually perfect. This was actually perfect. This is actually insane.
Okay, here we go.
So we'll sack off the calc. Do you have any responses, Josh? I don't.
He doesn't.
No,
he
no,
literally
I'm tapped
doesn't.
out.
He literally can't
Fine.
do anything.
I mean, I can. I have Moan of the Dead.
Moan of the Dead is a card.
Oh,
so.
sure.
Moan of the
Alright.
Dead is a real card.
That's why I was just like,
drop
I can
some
either
shit.
I can shortcut this, or we can just like if he So
you do all your shortcuts.
All right. So we're gonna sack everything to altar, including the cat token. So that is gonna put this altar at 3. So I get to sack this altar for 3. Look, find a card. Bada bang, we get an Athenia. Athenia, enter. We're gonna do both modes to recover some stones here. So first things first, do we want to dig? Does digging matter? See, it's a little awkward here because we don't have
You play the altar first, right?
a Rhea in the deck. Yeah, this is fine. Well, we can do either way. We can either draw first, or we can go for the power line first. Either way is fine, because since we have Athenia, it produces mana now. So yeah, we'll go ahead and play this altar. We'll go ahead and cast this Power of Immortality on this Athenia. We'll sack the Athenia to altar. Death Trigger shall come back. Get to recover some stones here. 7. We're gonna go ahead and cast Sephiroth. I draw you discard. That's a pretty neat card.
That seems pretty good.
That's
Go
a tech.
ahead and hold up. Yeah, let's see
Hold up.
mana we have.
Wait.
There's no way for me to. Yeah, that's fine. Well, Dark Alice.
How?
With
What
this
is the
white
miss
stone.
there? Oh, okay. So, all right. So the Blackstone. All right. Yeah. I got
Yeah.
you. Blackstone was for Sephiroth. Yeah,
Yes.
Blackstone there. Okay, sure.
Yes. Enter, draw.
Mhm.
It's a little awkward that we've drawn all of our altars. So now if we draw Sigurd, he's just a dude.
Do you discard?
But at this point,
do you discard the Kaguya at this point?
Potentially. I'm just wondering if there's not a reason to sack this Dark Alice. There's probably merit
stone.
in
The
the
Dark
You could sack a
Alice-
stone.
The Dark Alice is going to go to the altar
True,
trigger,
I can
right?
sack a stone. I can just sack a stone.
I
The
mean-
reason to not sack a stone here.
I mean, yeah, because like you either win or you lose.
no,
3 stones versus 4
Holy
stones ain't gonna
all in.
matter.
I love
Draw.
this.
And then we hit the Sigurd.
There we
But-
go.
All right. Jesus. So let's see. So now we can do things. So can I do one more thing? Yeah. So I have to sequence this correctly. We'll crack Sephiroth for a black. This for a green. Play Sigurd.
Yep.
Enter trigger on the stack.
Yep.
I'll sack Sigurd, go to 2. Sack Athenia, go to 3.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is how
Sack
we get to a Loki.
Get Athenia, recover 3 stones. I'll use 1 green to shuffle in 2 altars.
Wouldn't.
Because he's still got the Sigurd trigger on the chase.
Oh, sure, that's true. I was gonna say, wouldn't it be better to leave the white up, but I get what you're saying.
Sephiroth. I have all colors, anyways. Well, once I get rid of an altar here.
Oh, right, because we sacked a stone.
I want to keep. Actually, I have a Sephiroth in deck, so I'll leave the Sephiroth in here because I don't need to. I won't be able to loop too much more, anyways. Counted right, and then I want the black for cheating your grave. I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'll put these on the bottom, and then resolve Sigurd. Here comes the altar, and then actually might be better just go for another altar here. Recast the Sigurd one last time to get
one more time. Let's see. One more
So if I go for
time.
Sephiroth here, I can draw another card and make him discard. I can sack my Sigurd and my Dark Alice
For Ploki.
for
and then
perfect Loki, and then have mana to RFG his grave.
Yeah.
Let's see, is this enough though? 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 11, 12, 13.
Which is enough.
It tracks. So yeah, we'll just go with this play. Shuffle that up. So enter, I draw you discard. How in the world?
Jeez Louise. Good thing.
This is bogus.
I guess we have those now.
So I just go for another Athenia so I can shuffle these back into my deck? We technically could, but at this point I think it's fine to just say pass here, and then before our opponent draws cards, we're just gonna sack off these wonderful creatures, sack this altar to find our very own. Oh geez, I couldn't find it. I thought I forgot to put it in the deck.
Ah!
Perfect, Loki.
So we have minus 13,
It's currently
12.
minus 12,
which is enough to kill everything.
which is enough to kill everything. And my Kage can go back in the graveyard. And then at this point, so right now he has nothing that he can like just cast from grave, so we're fine to just let his graveyard chill. And then once he tries to activate Death Scythe, then we can go for some RFG grave stuff. So we're good to just pass here.
Does he have a Death Scythe in grave?
He does.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the reason why we let it sit.
Yeah, if he didn't have the Death Scythe in grave, then
So that pester.
sure. Then we'll draw, cover.
And then I lose from
And then
there.
at this point, we're just like in control of this game. We have the white sources for Kaguya's. We get to just swing in for these 8s here. I can go ahead and does tapping matter specifically? No, I don't think so. Just jam this here, and now we have.
Why did you just play the Sigurd? What's going on?
Because I have the last altars in my hand.
Oh,
yeah. We can do this though, so we can do that, and then sack this. No, I can't. No, I can't because we didn't shuffle it in.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just cast this. We just cast this, and then swing for this, and then sit, and now we have this white to hold up a Kaguya, and then we have 3 things on board that we can just sack to get another Kaguya, or we can just get another perfect Loki because we have 2.
Exactly, and you've got plenty of stuff in grave. So like that's the line to get through, and this is why we're seeing.
No, it's not getting lucky. It's playing to your outs, Logan.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like playing to your outs. For sure.
No, I'm just giving Logan shit.
Let's see.
Oh yeah. I don't know if there's.
Well played, Derek. Way to find it. Way to find it.
We found it.
That was awesome. So there you go. Lesson learned. Don't use your Goddard to just fucking steal a Kage and just
it was a good play.
I honestly, for sure.
You
I'm looking at
stole my resonator, and I was just like, yeah, that's a thing that happened.
Yeah, for sure. I think with, I mean, like we said, and this is one of the reasons why we talked about. This was a good example, I think, of showing the complexity of like you gotta like. If you were just playing Alter for your first time, or like just playing the Brunhild deck for your first time, you wouldn't have seen that. Like you wouldn't have seen that line. And like I think that's one of the pieces that the biggest takeaways to it, even why we do this lesson planning, is to say like we want to show you some of the things and some of the ways you need to be thinking about these things, and so therefore you can take it back and practice it a little bit. If you don't think you can come up with these lines mid-event, or like be cognizant of these lines mid-event, probably don't play this deck, because as good as it is,
it's not for the faint of heart.
It can be a very, very successful deck, but like the more open you are to misplaying, the more likely you're going to be really angry at the end of the tournament. And in all honesty, we've talked about this before in the lounge too. Like, don't bring a deck that's good just because it's good if you're not going to have like, if you're going to be angry playing it, because it's going to make your experience terrible. Like no
one wants to be angry at a GP.
Right. And I think Force of Will is very interesting in the fact that most players that I talk to, even if they don't top 8, if they played a deck that they enjoyed, still walk away from GP saying they had a great time, which I think still speaks true even in the alternate meta. Like, so if playing this deck, if the complexity of this deck is something that's going to just make you angry all day, don't play it. Just don't.
Exactly. And if you are up for a challenge, this is the meta for you.
Yeah, for sure.
If you like building puzzles mid-event,
Yeah, for sure.
Get yourself in and out of situations.
It's like you have the pieces in front of you. How do you paint the picture?
Yep.
Sometimes you just got to be like, all right, this is right now we're in a tough spot, but we have some things that could potentially work out. Sometimes you go for it, and then hey, it works out. So.
Yeah, very few players would have been able to get out of that situation like Derek just did.
Without having the reps, right?
It's because of the time and the amount of effort that he puts into this game that he's able to pull out play lines like that. So,
yeah. Do
it. Play the game. Go all in. Embrace the Alter.
Embrace
for
it.
one more tournament.
Thankfully.
It's the last event. But no, that's going to be it for us for this week here on Lesson Planning. Next week, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be looking at Gil Lapis as the pilot, and we're going to figure out what we're going to play against specifically. Not an alter deck, but it's just kind of like looking at Gil Lapis and kind of how it does. I know last week we had a Gil Lapis alter list, but we're going to be talking about like Gil Lapis with this core, kind of taking a more chill approach to the lesson planning the week before the GP, specifically because next week
end of the world.
It's the end of the world.
You're right, Bobby. I'm awake now.
But we hope you enjoyed it. Again, if this was something that you enjoyed, go ahead and click that subscribe button and give us a like and a comment and everything else. We love hearing about it. This does definitely seem to be a show that people are enjoying, and we're enjoying doing it. So it's been fun. If you like what we're doing and you want to support us financially, you can click that join button down below. Become a member here on the channel. Gets you all kinds of perks. Remember, for the massive 2-day stream of the GP, if you want to be in the chat, you gotta be a member. So just heads up on that.
And you get some sick emotes.
You do get some sick emotes. We have officially reached the point of the emotes where I need large amounts of new members to get new emotes. We need like 12 new members to get the next emote or something like that. But we have a lot of good ones.
Help us get the emotes.
Help us get the emotes.
Oh, is this Imel?
Real quick.
When did this get here?
We got an Imel emote. That was our most recent one.
Holy moly.
Real quick. I think I wanted to highlight something real quick Derek did in the first game when it was my turn and I was swinging any Power of Immortality to his Perfect Loki in response to my God Art from Sergio. So like that's something that you have to pay attention to. That playline only works when it's not your turn. Okay? If it's your turn and you try to Power of Immortality something to save it from a Sergio, it's not going to work. Okay, it's the way the priority stacks, whether or not you're turn player or not, right? So like the grave trigger on Power of Immortality and Mikage Sergio will trigger at the same time. And so how they go on the chase depends on whether or not you're turn player or not, right? So since I was turn player, my abilities go on the chase
first, so they resolve last.
And resolve last. So his Power of Immortality will resolve before Sergio. But if this was during his turn and I was like, Goddard, and he's like, Power of Immortality, both go to the grave, I get it. Because
and then I look like a fool.
Yeah. So like understand that like that specific play line was only because it was my turn that Derek was able to even potentially do that play line. Even though it didn't work out that way, like don't show up to Minnesota and think you can Power of Immortality to save your way out of stuff.
Yep.
Understand the chase.
Yep. Understand the chase. We have several whole episodes of it on the teacher.
It's Sergio now. It's just calling that like.
Oh my gosh. Sage your row. Anyway, but that is it for tonight. As always, we again hope you guys enjoyed it. We will be back later this week. We have a feature match this week of a couple fun decks. We have Moonzard, a moon rezzard deck, versus a update on the Brunhild Graveyard aggro using cards from AO4, which is pretty sweet.
Oh.
That'll be this week. So be tuned for that. And as always, I've been GMO73, and I've been joined by Josh Pack Kraken Patton and the now no longer a ghost Derek Muguneza.
He has a face
saying class dismissed. Have a good night, everybody. And thanks, Matt Seymour, for the $1 super chat. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, Matt.